Next is The Darkest Trap, a bonus story from Killian's point of view. The Darkest Trap, a Rite World story. 20 years ago. Lord Reynard's office was a large room, but not large enough for 13 vampires and an oracle. Dressed in impeccable dark suits, Prince Alex and Prince Drake sat on the 2 black leather chairs in front of the large mahogany table. The rest of us stood behind the chairs, like good soldiers, except for Sarki, of course. The oracle sat on the arm of Alex's chair, half her body folded along his. Her white dress was almost transparent, with a slit that went to her hips, showing off her smooth, dark legs. She was seduction in the flesh. Every vampire in this castle wished they could touch her, but she only had eyes for Alex and Drake. Every vampire but me. Sarki was a rare half-vampire, half-witch, and I loathed witches. If she weren't one of Lord Reynard's pets, I would have killed her long ago. But because Reynard valued her counsel, I endured her by avoiding her as much as I could. Sick of looking at Sarki, I lifted my gaze to the large glass windows behind the desk, to the full moon shining outside, illuminating a fraction of the well-manicured garden below. It was a good night to sit outside on my suite's balcony and enjoy a glass of blood. A murmur caught my attention, and I glanced to the right, where the office opened into a larger entertainment area with a pool table, low couches, a big screen, movie theater-like chairs, and a long wooden bar full of all kinds of drinks and blood. Prince Albert picked up a red ball from the pool table. "Drop that, Albert," Drake said under his breath. Prince Drake was one of the oldest vampires in the castle, over 500 years old, and one of Lord Reynard's favorites. He was serious, determined, and disciplined, an example to be followed, as others usually said. "We've been waiting for more than 20 minutes, Albert complained. "I need something to do." "Let the man be," Alex said with a tisk, another one of the oldest and also one of Lord Reynard's favorites. Where Drake was serious, Alex was more relaxed. He liked parties and women and blood, but when it was needed, he got things done, even if it meant losing more of his humanity in the process. I was with Drake on this. When Lord Reynard arrived and saw Albert was out of formation along with the other 8 princes, he would give us all an earful as if we were all young humans who needed to be grounded. I glanced to the other vampires in the room. 9 princes, 3 others, and me. And once more I wondered what Lord Reynard could want with all of us. As far as I knew, the princes and the Lord got together once a week at this same time and weekday for full reports on their missions. But he had never invited me and the other 3, Patrick, Holden, and Eden, to attend. Prince Nolan spared a side glance at the 4 of us non-princes. "I wonder what the lower class is doing here." He always had an air of grandeur about him and looked down at the rest of us as if we weren't worthy, exactly like he was doing now. "If it depended on me, these 4 would never be here." "Drop it, Nolan," Prince Drake said. "They deserve to be here." Nolan turned to Holden, then Patrick, Eden, and me last, his chest puffed, his chin high, his eyes narrowed, and his hands in fists, as if ready for a fight. He bared his fangs, and the corners of his eyes darkened. "These vampires don't deserve to be here." That pushed my buttons. I had worked my ass off for Dumois Castle as much as he had. I might not be a prince, but I would be damned if I would be compared to the lower class. I turned to him, mirroring his stance. "Watch it," I said with a snarl. Vampires were proud creatures. This wasn't the first time Nolan had provoked me, and it wouldn't be the last. Beside me, Patrick snorted. I clenched my fists. Holy hell, if only I could punch both of them. Prince Nolan was a pompous prick, but Patrick was my enemy. We pretended to get along when with others, but we hated each other's guts. Since I joined the coven, Patrick had seen me as a threat, the one vampire who could steal his place among the princes. "As much fun as this is," Prince Alex said, "you 2 should stop. Right now." Perhaps it was his age. The older the vampire, the stronger he was. But somehow Prince Alex knew someone was approaching. The air around us chilled and the world quieted. The office's double doors opened and Lord Reynard strolled in, his powerful figure filling the room instantly. With long strides he walked past us and rounded the table, halting before the windows. I turned away from Prince Nolan and stared at the vampire who had rescued my brother and me 200 years before. He was still as striking as he had been back then. Lord Reynard's blonde hair was combed back, and his three-piece black suit had been tailor-made for him. "I don't have time for individual reports tonight," he said, his voice grave. "We'll do that next week. But here are my assignments and carry them out immediately. Prince Cain and Prince Dorian," he called. Both princes stood to attention. "Princess Morda of the Silverblood Coven has been a bitch again. She had her witches raid a small town and kidnap as many mature male humans as they could. Go talk to her. See if you can negotiate for them to release at least half of them." "Yes, my lord," both princes said in unison before marching away from the office. Reynard continued assigning missions, most of them involving unruly witches. Hell, how I hated witches. They were evil creatures devoid of feelings and completely ruthless. Since I was there, I expected to be assigned something as well. Usually, I had smaller missions by myself and only accompanied a prince on bigger ones, mostly Cain, one of my good friends. I just hoped Lord Reynard told me to go witch hunting too. Prince Albert, Prince Phelps, Prince Nolan, Prince Aston, Prince Grey, Patrick, Holden, and Eden were gone. There was only Prince Drake, Prince Alex, Sarki, and me left. "Killian," Lord Reynard started. I squared off my shoulders. "Prince Cain often sings your praises, and Prince Alex and Prince Drake agree with him. From what I've seen, you have been prince material for a while now. But before I can officially hand you the title, I have a special mission for you." "Just name it, my lord." "Domic from Dark Devil's Coven has asked for an audience with me," Lord Reynard said. "He's unruly, disrespectful, and greedy. Our audiences often end in insults, threats, and sometimes fights." He let out a long sigh. "I'm tired of dealing with him, so this time you're going in my stead. You'll go now and deal with him and his coven in the most civilized way you can. Report to me when you get back. Impress me, and you'll make prince." Pride filled my chest. "You won't regret it, my lord." "I know I won't." He turned his back to me and started walking toward the bar at the other end of his office. "You can go now." I bowed to him and the princes and walked out of the office, my head high. I closed the doors behind me and greeted the two vampire guards stationed there before taking down the dark marble stairs. Lord Reynard knew I could fight. He had seen me in battle many times before. Now, he was sending me on a diplomatic mission with someone who didn't like to be civilized. This was a big mission in a way, a test of my capabilities, of my leadership skills. This was it, the last test before he turned me into a prince. At the bottom of the stairs, Patrick stepped in my way. What did he want? I frowned and continued walking. "It's none of your business." Patrick's arm shot out, barring my path. "He gave you a special mission, didn't he?" I took a step back and stared at the vampire. Patrick had joined the coven 300 years ago, and since day one, he had been working on becoming a prince. I had been here for 200, and in the beginning, all I wanted was to kill witches. I didn't care about the rest. It was only about 50 years ago when Drake told me that if I applied myself to become a prince, I would be able to command my missions and kill more witches. That was when everything changed. I outpaced Patrick, bringing on his rage and jealousy. "He did," I said. Patrick cursed under his breath. "I've been here for longer than you have. I've done everything he asks of me. You can't become a prince before me." He leaned closer, his eyes flaming with rage. "You can't become a prince, period." I puffed my chest and advanced on him. Patrick stood still, but I saw the momentary flick of suspicion in his eyes when I loomed over him. "I will become a damn prince, and then I'll do everything in my power so you won't." That would be out of spite. "Not if I become a prince first," Patrick said with a snarl. "And when I do, I won't let you join the ranks." "Boys," a saccharine voice said from the top of the stairs. With a grunt, I glanced over my shoulder at Sarky. "What do you want?" One prick wasn't enough. I had to endure her too. She looked at Patrick, her brown eyes like melted chocolate. "Go before I tell Lord Reynard what transpired here." Patrick glared at her. He marched away. I turned to the Oracle. "I didn't need your help." Sarky flipped her long black curls and smiled at me. "I know." She pouted and winked at me. "So serious." "Don't provoke me." She climbed down a few steps, expertly moving her hips and showing off her legs through the slit in her dress in a sensual way. Even I, who could barely stand her, had to admit she had her charm on point. "But it's so much fun." She circled me, her eyes taking in every inch of me. "The fact that you insist on keeping your distance from me makes it even more appealing." Holy hell. "What do you want, Sarky?" "To warn you that Patrick isn't playing anymore. He's jealous of your quick advancement and how Prince Cain, Prince Alex, and Prince Drake favor you. If you give Patrick the opportunity, he'll end you." Patrick might be older than me, but I wouldn't go down easily. I gritted my teeth. I would like to see him try. "I knew you." Her eyes widened, a white shadow covering them. She stared at my shoulder, but she didn't see anything. I knew this look. She was having a vision. This was the second time she had one with me. The first one had been when she had seen my brother suffering 3 years ago. She told me he was in trouble. I ran to him. When I got to his cabin, he was dead. I searched and searched and searched, but never found the killers. Sarky turned her white eyes to me. "Your missing piece has entered this world. The one who will complete you, who will give you purpose, who will save you, and also easily destroy you." "What the hell are you talking about now? Who is she?" "You will know the moment you see her." She placed a hand over my dead heart. "You'll feel it here." Sarky blinked and her eyes returned to normal. It seems someone has a soulmate." I gaped at her. "Soulmate?" "It might not have come to me with that exact word, but that was how it felt." I swallowed hard. It was rare for vampires to have soulmates, but it wasn't unheard of. But me? With a soulmate? It didn't make sense. The few times I had thought about the subject, a soulmate sounded like a reward to a deserving soul. That wasn't me. "You felt it wrong," I said, my jaw aching. "You know very well that my visions are rarely wrong." She smiled at me with her sinful red lips. "Get ready, Killian. One day you will fall head over heels for a female." She winked at me and sashayed away. I took a step toward her, suddenly curious. When would that happen? Where? What did she look like? How would she feel? I shook my head. That didn't matter, as it didn't sound it would happen so soon, so it wouldn't influence my current mission. With a last glance to where Sarky had disappeared at the top of the stairs, I turned and continued on my way. The Dark Devil's Coven was located near Vancouver on the other side of Canada, but we had arranged a meeting halfway, on the border between North Dakota and Minnesota, in a rented manor that served as a mutual meeting point for several supernaturals. I could have taken a flight there, but since the meeting was still a couple of days out, I decided to go by car. Besides, it was an excuse to drive my red-black striped McLaren F1. Because vampires didn't need much sleep, I drove non-stop. At night, the roads were deserted and I could really enjoy the car's engine. I pressed the pedal when a long, straight patch of road stretched in front of me. The purr of the engine rumbled in my chest and adrenaline filled my veins. A sudden force slammed against the car. It rolled off the road several times, and I lost track of the world for a moment. When I came to, I was upside down, hanging from the seatbelt. Blood soaked my suit, my skull pounded, and my vision was blurred. I crawled out of the car and looked back at it, amazed I hadn't been more hurt. The car was upside down at the bottom of a hill, destroyed. If I had been a human or a lesser supernatural, I would have been dead. Fog covered the area around the car and me. No, Not fog. A spell. A spell had hit the car and was now clouding my mind. I pushed to my feet and stumbled forward, away from the spell. My senses were so off, I didn't hear them closing in on me until they were a few yards away. A dozen men wearing long, dark robes and with glowing hands. "What?" I croaked, fisting my hands and bringing them up. "What's going on? Who are you?" "You'll make a perfect addition to my spell," one of them said. "Virion, take him." "Yes, Lord Sorin," another said with a small bow. "Bates, Eldon, now." Virion came at me. I took a step back and spread my feet apart. My mind was drowning in the damn spell, but I wouldn't go down without a fight. Then arms hooked around my elbows, holding me still. What the hell? I jerked against them. I was able to throw one to the ground, then turn to the other. 5 more men surrounded me, and the prickle of something on my shoulder startled me. I pulled the needle out and stared at it. What the... The fog from the outside filled my mind. A man showed up beside Lord Sorin and Virion, a man wearing a nice suit and an air of superiority. Someone I should recognize, but couldn't. "You're sure he won't survive?" the man said. "Don't worry," Lord Sorin said. "Where he's going, there's no way back." "This was quick business, Warlock." The man handed a thick envelope to Lord Sorin. "I'll be in touch in case I need any more favors." "What?" I opened my mouth. I tried asking him who he was. What did he want? But my tongue didn't work. My vision blurred more. My limbs and my eyelids weighed a ton. It was as if a heavy and hot blanket fell over me. Before I knew it, darkness dragged me under. Now. Black smoke enveloped me, hard and fast and cold. I glanced around, but all I saw was smoke. Still, I was sure I was in a different place, and I wasn't alone. A fast heartbeat reached my ears. The smoke faded. The shape of a female appeared a few yards from me. No, not another monster. Not here. "What?" I didn't give her time to say a spell or attack me. I ran to her, closed my hand around her throat, and pushed her against a bookshelf, her feet a good 10 inches from the floor. I took in the place I was at. A study with expensive furniture and decorations. Where the hell was this? I wasn't inside the box anymore. Where was that damn thing? The woman's heartbeat sped up, catching my attention again. "Huh!" She tried saying something again, but I snarled and showed off my fangs. Her scent filled my nostrils, a mix of lavender and coconut and something else I couldn't place, and it rocked my core. This scent, her scent, was so damn alluring. My gaze slid to her throat, where her jugular throbbed with her warm, warm blood. The woman jerked in my grip and brought her legs up, trying to kick me, but barely making contact. This damn bit. I glanced up at her face, a snarl at my lips. I looked into her eyes, and then I knew. It was her, the one Sarky had told me about. I could feel it, the deep tug inside my chest, the allure of her scent, the call of her blood, the warmth in my cold body. This young woman was supposed to be my missing piece, the one who completed me, my soulmate. I let her go and backed off several steps. The young woman fell to the floor, almost losing her balance. She clung to the bookshelf behind her as she gasped for air. Hell, I had hurt her. Her fair skin stretched over delicate features and high cheekbones. Her pink lips puckered with silent words, and her hazel eyes shone in the dim light. Her long black hair with dyed red ends hung down her back, wild and unraveled. She wore fitting dark clothing that molded around her lean form, her round thighs and ass, her thin waist, and her plump breasts. She was beautiful. She pulled a dagger from her boot and brandished it at me. "Stay where you are, or I'll use this." She had to know that dagger wasn't really a threat to me, but the way she put on a fake bravado and faced me anyway filled me with pride. What the? Pride? Hell, this was wrong. That invisible pull felt stronger. I placed a hand over my heart. "It's you," I whispered, my voice coarse. My throat hurt with the words. I still couldn't believe it. Sarky had been right. She said I would know it, feel it in my dead heart. The young woman frowned. "I don't know what game you're playing, But I'll be taking that box, and you—" Despair expanded in my chest. I glanced back, and sure enough, there was the box. "No, wait." I took a step closer to her. I had to explain to her. I couldn't go back in there. I couldn't. She raised her hand, and a blue magic bolt zipped from her palm right at me. It hit me right in the heart, where it hurt the most. The force of the hit sent me back a few steps, right over the box. The air around me swooshed, and the black smoke surrounded me again. The despair of knowing I was back inside the box was nothing compared to knowing the one who was meant to be with me was also the one thing I hated the most. A witch. That was The Darkest Trap, a Rite World story by Juliana Haygert, narrated by Maxx Pinkins.